Welcome to Pluripod. This is a podcast all about the Apple TV show Pluribus from Vince Gilligan, and we're super excited to share the show with you. I'm joined by my co-host Victoria Givlin. I'm Matt Watterworth. We talk about every episode of the show this season, and we're super excited to share those conversations with you. Just a heads up, we get right into spoilers. There's not really any break or warning beforehand, so this is it. Make sure you're watching the episodes of the show before you're tuning into episodes of our show. And if you have any questions about our show or are looking for a link of any kind, it's all going to be on pluripod.com. So thankful you join us. Let's jump right into it. Why don't you tell us a little bit about who you are, and then I'll talk about my favorite subject, me, and then we'll maybe talk about like who we are.
Okay.
As Calgary filmmakers. We're already sort of like talking about that, but let's start with an intro for who you are.
Who I am? Well, I am Victoria Givlin, and multifaceted artist type as we do. So, I mean, I started in the fashion world like 12 years ago. So, modeling was kind of first. It wasn't what I anticipated doing. I just literally had no confidence and wanted to do it after high school after being bullied. So,
Oh, cool.
I just kind of built up from there. But yeah, one day one friend posted about some background acting work, and I'm like, hey, work while being on set and meeting cool people. I could work 2 times and get paid twice.
Yeah.
So I was like, sure. And I just completely fell in love with how film sets and film life and film is, and fashion is so much fun. But I find that it can be like very one-dimensional, like Blue Steel, and I love that movie, but you often get like either super cool and serious or like super commercial and fun and bubbly, which is great, but we don't really see any of the other ranges of emotions as often.
Right.
So I love the complexity of film. So, I mean, I ended up doing Screen Acting Academy's program for their film television performance school, and that was fun. So Mike Migliera was in Ottawa. That's where I met him when I was doing my undergrad there, and took his program. Now he's moved out here. He and I are now producing partners, and I call him, like, he's Italian and French, so I call him like my film godfather.
Right. Yeah.
Well, when he suggests like other allies that you hang out with, when they have a lot more wisdom than you do, you just follow along if you can, So acting was next, I guess. And I've done like some Netflix shows. I've done some video games. I've done some voiceover. I've done a little bit of everything.
Sweet.
So it's been really fun. But as the industry goes, it's never what you anticipate. So it's a roller coaster. And then during the pandemic, I've had a camera for like, I don't know, since I was like 12.
Right.
So when auditions went virtual and remote, then I like bought a better camera and I started investing in doing like photography and videography work and self-tapes, of course, because you got to learn to do all the hats as best you can anyway. It's a constant learning program. But so I mean, it really just depends on the project.
Yeah.
But I love storytelling. I love human complexities. My undergraduate is in criminology and psychology, so like why we do what we do and why we're motivated to do that, I think, is fascinating. And my family had a promotional marketing business for like 20 years, so brand psychology and branding, and it all comes full circle to me because we still need to be like grounded in our acting performance, but the more we can learn about every part of the production, the better. So
true.
Doing production is a lot of fun, and I see the business side of it, so I have a lot of fun that way, and I'm not afraid to make business deals and help people with that. So producing is what I've been doing a lot of lately, which is fun.
Amazing.
Yeah, it's awesome. But whatever I can do to be on set, and I'm always willing to learn. I'm always open for constructive criticism, and so many hats.
Yeah. And I have to say, like, as much as we want to talk about this show Pluribus, and I promise we'll get to it, it's been very cool to see the splash that you've made in this community. Like, I've been working in the Calgary and Alberta film and television community for 17 years, and it's like it's cool to see you dive in and just like make things happen, and it's inspiring, to be honest with you. It's easy to get complacent, and then to see you be like, I'm just going to make stuff happen is very cool. And it's a good sign for our industry too, that, and we need more people to come to the Calgary film and television industry. And sometimes people leave to go to other jurisdictions. So it's cool to point to you and say like, oh, look at the success that you're having here. It's very cool. So a little bit about me, and I think, I don't know, how much time have you had? 48 hours maybe since I asked you to do this. So thank you for jumping in.
Thank you for the invite.
Yeah, of course.
I'm super excited.
It's gonna be fun.
Yeah.
So I'm a filmmaker here, obviously, in Calgary, and I've also been a podcaster. I had a podcast where we did audio only. We did over 100 episodes. It was about the Alberta film and television community. And yeah. Where's the audience?
Like 95% of podcasts shut down before the 100th episode. And I've run 2 podcasts in the last 5 years.
Yeah, it's hard.
It didn't get there, but where is it? Let's do it. I'm psyched.
For sure.
Yeah.
So yeah, I like you, I come from like sort of a storytelling background, and we'll be watching the show with those perspectives, obviously. I'm just I'm a huge fan of Vince Gilligan as well, and I also teach film, and I'm lucky enough to teach a writing class sometimes. Yeah. And I actually have a lecture on Walter White, right? Like I think Walter White is one of the great creations in I'll use the word cinematic history, even though it's television. But so I've been very excited about this show for a while, and so excited that I went to New York during New York Comic Con. I drove there from Calgary, and if you don't know, that's took me about 4 days. It's about 34 hours of straight driving. So
I drove from Kitchener here.
Oh, right,
just over 2 years ago. I know that, right?
How late was that?
Well, it was the middle of February, so it was like 37 hours.
Okay,
but yeah, I mean, you don't realize it, but Ontario takes like a day and a half.
For sure. Yeah.
And the prairies took all 3 of them together. Yeah.
It's crazy. Yeah. And I went through the US, so Montana is the same. It was like a full day. Anyway, so I went to see the like, I guess it was like a sneak peek of the first 2 episodes of Pluribus. They surprised us with a podcast recording of the podcast Sad, Happy, Confused. And so Vince was there, and the cast were there, a few cast members. So
how exciting that
it was pretty great. Yeah, it was.
Did you get to chat with them?
No, I didn't. I kind of maybe I don't know. Maybe I should have. I feel weird talking, like going up to but I did get Vince's autograph, although that was pre-signed, so I didn't get to see him do that. But the other interesting thing, I forget if I've told you this, is they put it, like, if you wanted to, you could step into a box and record a message for Kara. And of course, at that point we'd seen the episode, so we knew what this was all about. But I got to release some episodes, and you could see it on my Instagram. Not episodes, some clips of me just like apologizing to Carol for upsetting her, and so that was pretty cool. I was hoping that they'd suggested that might appear in an episode. I don't know if that's going to happen or not. Maybe it will. But they did do a pretty cool video of people, including Bryan Cranston and Aaron Paul, doing the lines like, "We're sorry, Carol. Please join us," sort of thing. So yeah. So yeah, that was a pretty cool experience. And they gave us donuts. And if you've seen the episode,
sugar donuts,
yeah, they were like individual boxes, and I actually saved the box that's around here somewhere. And I was pretty nervous to eat the donut because of
course,
the licking that
what
happens.
we've seen.
Exactly.
Can't be unseen.
Yeah. So that's a little bit about us. That's a little bit about my trip to New York. Let's talk about the first episode of Pluribus. And I know you took some notes.
I did take some notes.
And you can guide us through a little bit. Thank you for doing that.
I love me my little notes. It's food in our life.
It's great.
Yeah.
Very important.
Thank you. Well, I mean, even as stuff was going on, I was messaging you because there were parts that I feel like we mentioned earlier, there's no boundaries to this show. So it's a lot of like, and I love it. It's in the best way that I feel like my mind's getting blown.
for sure.
So
Yeah.
it starts at like 439 days on the screen,
Right.
and it doesn't explain what that means. And we see these scientists that are receiving a genetic code, and they don't understand who it came from, and it's like 600 light years away, and they don't get what's happening. And then
They're pretty convinced it's not an alien thing at first, but they keep taking guesses and they keep getting proven wrong. And so it seems pretty clear that it is coming from a non-human source.
yes,
Yeah.
because it had like the one pattern where it was opening through it, and then they noticed that it's a DNA sequence because there's 4 genomes.
Yeah. And I thought that's a pretty good way to deliver that information too, because of course I think all our brains are going like, well, couldn't it be something else or something bouncing off the moon, as they said a few times.
They said Morse code too,
Right,
which was
Morse
a
code, yeah.
valid
Yeah,
thing.
yeah,
It's a good expression to see. And
Well, and it turned out that it was quad code, I think they said, like
Yeah.
4 different. I don't know if I fully understand that, but yeah.
I think it was like the DNA sequence code.
Yes, that's
right.
Yeah, for sure.
So that's fascinating. Yeah, but like you see it at first when it was just small and you're doot 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 doot. You're like, okay.
Yeah.
But that was just, it had me hooked right out the gate with the scientists being like, well, they have, whatever it is has to be saying more than just hello, right? Because
Right.
why would
you go to this trouble?
Yes, but also what is it? Because they can't figure out, they don't know what it is yet. So
Right.
it cuts to 71 days. So 439 to 71. We're almost like a year-ish.
Yeah.
Right?
For sure.
So then we cut to Carol, who we're first meeting for the first time, and she is reading part of her 4th book that she's launched very successfully to a group of women that are just guffawing over her spicy literature, nonfiction romance history novel. And it's very busy. And at the end of it, the driver says, should I know who you are? That was very busy. And she says, depends. Are you a fan of mindless crap?
Right. Yeah.
So
what did you think of that? Of like, especially the scene where I guess the montage of people coming up and like getting a signature with Carol and the incredible Ray Seahorn. What did you think of those moments, those people?
It's so interesting because recently I've been finding myself really enjoying romance, like TV shows and things like that. So, I mean, I can totally see the appeal to it. Absolutely. But, yeah, I think that's kind of the whole thing to all of it is I can see the juxtaposition of like how great it is, but also how tacky it can be. Like there's a line.
Yeah.
Right? So that's interesting. And also how it basically foreshadows the idea of like this collective loves her. And she's like, I don't care.
Interesting.
That's
an interesting reflection.
Right?
Like she's so beloved. And then if you fast forward, she's kind of beloved by the entire planet later on. We'll get to that. But that I didn't think of that before. She's already she's already like experienced this, like, oh, everyone loves me. Everyone treats me really nicely. That's interesting.
Well, the tagline, I think, for Pluribus is like the world's most miserable woman saving the planet from happiness.
Yeah.
Right? So I love how this is so different from anything we've been seeing on TV lately. So yeah, like that idea, but I don't know, as an author, like I've also written and published a book earlier this year, and like if I had a bunch of people that were like fawning over my book, like isn't that every author, every writer, or every playwright's dream? Right. So and like Helen kind of points at that later. It cuts to like 29 days and the doctors, so now we've had another 50 days and the doctors we're back at the science center, and the security gentleman's trying to figure out, like poking a little bit, and there's a bunch of donuts, as you mentioned, and it says, please help yourself, and trying to figure out what's, what is the sequence code here. And they said,
he's
like,
trying to figure out if they just what they're doing. I don't know if he even knows, and if they're having any success, or
they've had none is essentially what it seems to come to.
They say, yeah. And I guess they're there to kill a bunch of rats.
To me, it seems like rat testing.
Yes, yeah.
They're doing a bunch of animal testing
For sure.
to try to figure out what it is.
For sure, yeah. But I guess the specific job, it sounded like they're gonna kill all these rats that they've been testing on. It just seems like kind of part of the day to day. I don't know if that's. I mean, I guess they do have to do that, which is kind of dark. But
yeah, because he was asking her to like gas them with something, and she didn't want to. But then he said maybe you're in the wrong job, which is kind of funny because you know just. We all have things with our work that we may not want to do, but we all have to do it. There's just so much to it that you could dive into and question on so many different parts. But yeah, then so the doctors examine with their hazmat suits these rats, and there looks to be a rat that's not moving. And she pulls it out, and then it comes to life and it bites her, right? And it goes, she had, of course, 2 gloves on, but she took the one off because she couldn't feel the heartbeat and the proper movement of it. And then it broke the skin. Yeah. And then, you know, she curses and the other doctor sees if she's okay and tries to help. And then she starts seizing. Like she stops responding. She's not able to have a conversation, and he's trying to help her and like pulling her out of still having to go through the medical procedures of getting washed down and all that stuff. And
when I watched this for the second time, I was like the one who doesn't get bit says make sure you flush it out and like squeeze out the blood, which of course makes total sense. I'd never thought of that, but if you're getting potentially contamination through, you'd want to,
if a snake bit you
exactly, and so obviously she did not succeed at that in time, or maybe that who knows, we don't know how this thing works. But this is the first indication to me that this is something, and certainly what happens right after is that this is like an evil invasion of the body snatchers sort of situation, where human beings are going to be, you know, controlled by this alien presence, and it was that rat's like performance, right? Because it was performing, it was pretending to be dead, and they even said something like about the vitals being good, and then it bites. So I'm like, okay, well, this is not like, that's a bad thing to do, right? And as we proceed with the episode, we discover that it's more of a benevolent force, and we'll get there. But I like, Carol has every right to, I think, be suspicious of it, given the way this has happened. I mean, taking over the planet is also not a very cool thing to do. But keep going, sorry.
No, you're all good. And it's true. There's so much just like it was playing dead. Yeah. It wasn't dead. It was playing.
Right. And whether or not this is like a good entity or bad entity or whatever it even is, that seems like doing something that this individual doesn't want. And we'll get to the phone call later, but the others, I think is what they call them on the official podcast. They say, Carol, your life is your own. But like that doctor, that first bite, she didn't get a say in whether or not, and nobody, I don't believe, got a say. And there's even an allusion to the fact that the military detected that this was going on at one point, and then presumably the entity beat them. All of this happens, off.
I mean, it depends on the perspective, because from the rat's perspective, like, did it want to be in that box?
Right. Sure enough. Yeah.
So, it's so much to it, right?
Yeah. Keep going, because there's more, and even next episode, there's more information about that, I think.
So, she starts seizing. The gentleman pulls her out. We cut to it. The security guy's doing his run through, and then the doctor comes through, and the most awkward, like, just falling into someone kiss you've ever seen.
It was not a romantic kiss.
No, it was like an attack. It was a biological,
for sure.
And they start licking donuts, and then it all gets kind of like locked down and going nuts but you don't know what's going on.
They had hired actors at the screening in New York. They hired actors or performers of some kind to come in with wheeling donuts, and they were wearing those multicolored, there's that shot where they're all like, they're doing a bunch of testing, and it's a bunch of scientists in this big shot, and they're all wearing like they're all kind of like pastel-y, but it's like these multicolored, like scrubby sort of like lab coat things. They had them come into the movie theater and hand us all donuts, and I just couldn't eat it. I couldn't eat it. I did eventually once I saw that everyone else.
A little bit of Pavlovian
Right? Yeah,
happening
exactly.
here. Yeah.
For sure.
What I listened to a podcast on my way over here a little bit, and his comment was talking about the use of color here, because the individuality of the different pastels. But, you know, if you go to a lab, at least my understanding, or like a hospital, like they're all wearing the same colors.
Yeah.
The uniformity versus the individuality.
Interesting.
Right?
Interesting.
So it's just kind of like Easter egging into it. That's like, oh, it's a reoccurring theme that's happening here for sure.
And everything by design, right? Like nothing, I certainly felt that way with Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul. Nothing this team seems to do is like accidental, or like it's all very, very thought out. And, yeah. And if you listen to the official podcast, the production designer is on one of the episodes talking about building Carol's neighborhood and how amazing and difficult that process was. And it just goes to show how much thought they put into everything that they do. And yeah, I'm sure it's intentional. Yeah.
It's just, I think it's fascinating, even just as the viewer, and that's why watching it more than once is just like from a filmmaker's perspective, like every scene that we're going to, there's so many pieces to it that like you almost miss it. Like I did see the pastel colors the first time I watched it, but it didn't even like,
it didn't really,
there was so much going on that I wasn't even, and then the gentleman commented and I was like, okay.
Yeah.
You know, so then we hit 0 days, and Helen and Carol are at the airport. Helen is her, you realize later, is like her romantic partner, but her agent as well, her marketing assistant.
Yeah.
And I thought that was really cute how she like goes and moves. I'm getting some gum at the airport, and she moves her partner's books at the top, because whenever it's closest in view, same with like grocery store shopping.
Yes.
You're more likely to buy the product right at eye view.
Yeah.
I just thought that was so cute.
And like, I guess that's how I took it as well. I was a little concerned that like, does that make Carol seem like kind of shitty in a way? Like, is that like, I don't think it's a big enough like it's just kind of like, oh, you rascal sort of thing. But I was nervous that like that, does that say that she's kind of like not a great person? But I don't think it's bad enough to.
I mean, I feel like people spent a certain amount of money to get to that level, so perhaps she couldn't afford it.
Sure,
is one option, or two. I don't even know if she asked her to do it, but her partner did it anyway.
I think she asked her. She didn't say it, but she didn't use the word. But there was like a stop and like a look. And, okay, I'm gonna go get some gum. That was I mean, that was my interpretation. But who knows if like, we don't know if like maybe they paid to have it up there and it wasn't there and she was just correcting. Who knows? But
the more I know nothing.
If so true, yeah, me too.
But even with like her doing that and her flipping it, you were like, okay. I mean, it kind of shows you Carol's character that comes into question if you're like playing Dungeons and Dragons. Like, was that chaotic good, chaotic neutral, or chaotic evil? It was chaotic because it was like weird and kind of out there.
Yeah.
They're having a drink at the bar, and we learn that, you know, she says at the airport that she'll drive, and she says no because she had a drink 2 hours ago. And there's a breathalyzer in the car. So back to what type of a person is Carol. She has a breathalyzer in her car, which is a complicated subject in and of itself,
for
you know?
And like, is it fair to say she's an alcoholic? She certainly doesn't seem to think so.
She doesn't seem to think so. And then later throughout the episode, she's heavily drinking.
Right.
But at the same time, like, I would probably be needing a vice pretty hard, whatever that might look like.
And she's obviously like, without the fact that the planet's being taken over by something, she's obviously having a crisis of conscious as a creative, right? Like she's like, okay, great. Here's another book that she obviously doesn't think is substantially like an entry into, you know, the world of literature that is like meaningful and substantial. She obviously, based on, you know, what she says to the driver, it's not something meaningful to her, obviously.
I think we see that with artists a lot. Like people will get hired to do the job because they need the funds and
100%.
They want to perform it, but that's not necessarily something that really motivates them.
Absolutely. So she's drinking. I wonder, because she's just like, okay, the book's just come out. It's getting great reviews. I wonder if a part of her even wanted it to not be well received.
Well, I think
That's
also in her case, like when Helen asks her later about, can you respond to the audience about
yeah,
who the lover is inspired by? And
yeah.
it shows us that the pirate gentleman is inspired by Helen, but she responds and says George Clooney. And so, I mean, you could be drinking because you're not being honest.
Right.
Like that could be.
Yeah, that she doesn't feel like she can be
She
who
doesn't
she is
feel
with her
safe.
fans.
Yeah, to be honest, or like maybe she has to respond in that manner to get a better following, or who knows?
I wonder if it'll come back in any major way. I mean, the next episode is called Pirate Lady, I think. So it does in that sense, but this idea that she is sort of in a cage of her own making through this success is an interesting one. Yeah, so we'll see.
Right?
Yeah.
Yep. Well, I mean, you see that too with people in general, or just the idea of you've been wanting something for so long, you thought you did,
And then you get
and then you get it, and it's not the
quite the
joy
way you
you were
it.
looking for, right?
Yeah.
But
and like you said before, and meanwhile, like thousands of other creatives would kill for that kind of success.
So that's kind of the juxtaposition of all of it. And when Helen encourages her to write her own book, she says, like, do you think someone will actually want to read it? And she said,
like a book that is creatively fulfilling, and it's not like that. Yeah.
And challenging. That's the idea. She wanted a book that it's called Bitter Chrysalis. So like the whole idea is that it's going to be a slog to read through it.
Yeah. But it's going to be her baby. Like it's going to be something she's doing for herself, not for anyone else.
Yeah. If I can make one person happy, it may not be art, but at least it's something.
No, isn't that a good quote?
Right? Yeah. Like, isn't that fascinating? And you found like your real audience.
Yeah.
Your true group of communion, right?
This is cool to talk about because, again, we're jumping ahead a little bit, like Helen dies. And this is kind of her last conversation with Carol.
Yeah. Is that, and then the Gerard Butler comment.
Right.
Yeah. And then she seizes.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So kind of their parting words are her saying, you got to write your book. And there's the George Clooney moment too, but it really does feel like that's important. I hope it comes back. I hope they don't leave this thread hanging.
Even the when did you start smoking? And she says now, because clearly she asked Helen for a smoke. So Helen smokes, but she doesn't drink because she's driving for her.
Yes.
But
she even does the breathalyzer.
Yeah. Her vice, though, is the opposite, right?
Right.
And then just even the frustration of like, you have a car that needs a breathalyzer to drive, but the love of your life just is now seizing on the floor and your car won't start because you just had a drink at the bar.
Yeah.
And then having to move that seat, like just the cinematography and the direction of getting all of these people to start seizing, because the gentleman crashes the truck. And it does flash when they go out to have a smoke about saying that the NASA system is shut down. Back to the budget. Like that must have been insane to shoot there, and an airport and a hospital. And, so that's really wild to see. Just as a filmmaker too. Oh, that's so cool.
Well, and actually, like, not to jump too far ahead, but she does get in the truck. She's got to deal with this guy who's also transforming. I don't know what the word is, seizing is what's happening, but she gets the truck, she gets Helen in the truck, and then there's this incredible shot. I mean, she goes from like, I forgot about the bar. I don't mean to, like, she goes into the bar and like coming to this realization that like, oh my god, this is just Helen or this guy. This is like everyone in this area. And of course, like, you wouldn't think, oh, well, it's not the whole city. It's just something's happened in this local area that I'm in. It's a gas leak or something like that. And like then she's interacting with like all these people in the bar who are like falling over, and like really well choreographed like moments in there too. But there's this unbelievable shot. It reminded me of The Last of Us. And of course they have a plane crashing in that scene, so it's maybe not as intense, but there's this incredible shot where the camera's just mounted to the hood and Carol is just driving, and you're just seeing what's going on behind her through the back window of the truck. And it's this like crazy long shot of like all of this stuff playing out where like like a car pulls up and picks up someone who's lost a leg.
Yes. Wasn't that so like
That's crazy. Yeah.
The whole thing is sequences of, for me, just blowing my mind
Totally.
because
Yeah.
I'm just like, as an artist or someone who's watching this, like trying to put myself in those shoes, right?
Yeah.
And the love of your life just starts seizing and stops responding after you just saw a car crash. Now this guy's doing it.
Yeah.
I can't even begin, like, what would you do? And then you go to the bar and every single human in the bar is doing the same, like, glitch.
Yeah.
Are they glitching? Are they being taken over? Are they having epilepsy? Like, what's happening?
Yeah.
Some people are dropping, some are saying, right?
And that's something that I guess she doesn't ever ask about or is never verbalized. Maybe she's thinking it, but like, why is she unaffected? Of course, we don't know yet. But but that's got to be an incredibly terrifying thing. Like, I would think everyone's playing a prank on me. If it, like, I would think
the grandest prank in history.
This is like a ton of people. But then she knows it can't be that when she pulls up and there's that shot of Albuquerque and there's like all these fires.
Yeah, everything's set on fire.
She can't reach emergency services, and it's like, okay, this is not a prank for sure.
No, and then going to the hospital, you know, like eventually booting that guy out, carrying her on the plank and lifting her up.
That was cool. That was very smart.
I love that. Yeah. I mean, you would use it similar to like the medical people would use their board that you use later. But yeah, like having her carried that way and driving around. And what was going on with that? Why did those random people have a leg? Why did he pick it up and put it in the car? Like, they seemed sentient. Like they seemed like they weren't taken over. So but and then it's not brought up again. Like they're just the man just carries like a knee down and hops into a car and drives away, and then the rest of them like just slowly. And I love it because it's the creepy suspense. Like they're just walking slowly to her, and she's slowly driving away, trying to.
Yeah, it's not like she's racing.
She didn't race. Yeah. She was just slowly driving. And then when you get to the hospital too, like. And she saved the baby.
That was after. So she's leaving the hospital. That was my mistake. So that's when she's on her way home, I think. Because they're all still in seizing mode when she gets to the hospital. Yeah. And it's not until she leaves that we start to...
Well, because when they go to the hospital and they're all seizing, and then she saves the baby. Yeah. Right? And she tries, because the mom's seizing with the carriage, and then she gets the doctor and tries to. Mm-hmm. And then remember, she like... They try to pull Helen out of the truck in the hospital, and she tells them stop. Yeah. And then they like drop and they start having a problem. Yeah. And then they all come back up again, and they're like, "We're just trying to help you. Right. We're trying to help her, Carol. We're really sorry for stressing you." Mm. You know. What?
And the doctor goes to kiss her, right? Like when the doctor comes to, and she's like, "What is that about?" And I'm sure the others are like, well, why is Carol immune to this? Oh, she somehow avoided it. This. Yeah. We didn't mention that like Carol points out that like the Air Force has like been releasing some gas above Albuquerque. Yes. Which is like
conspiracy. There's conspiracy dropped in here for sure. You know, like what are those chemtrails with the planes? Yeah. Like, how do you feel about that? Is it chemical? Like, because she was like, wow, they're in such a perfect formation or something. And she's like, oh yeah, isn't that weird? And the other woman, like a lot, like, do we have the time to worry about it? Do we care? There's toxins everywhere. Right. Are they doing it on purpose? Like they could be.
Or is that just genuinely the best way to deliver this? Right. Like I think that's what I think the others are. It's like if the others have this communal knowledge of everything known to man as far as like, and maybe they didn't at that point, but they must have had control of some military folks and some Air Force folks. And they must know and prepare for like these sorts of situations, right? Like anthrax or some sort of like terrorist act. They would probably know the best way to deliver this kind of like agent over a population. But the other thing that, and later we learned that like Carol is one of 11, I think, or 12.
Isn't that interesting religiously with...
Oh my God, I didn't think that. The apostles,
Apostles.
Wow, interesting.
And one betrayed them and wouldn't go with the group and kept...
So interesting.
Right?
I didn't even think of that. That's a good...
Isn't that interesting? Like...
Why is it that number? Yeah, because I would have to think that you would have to be way more than that. And maybe the others aren't aware of that. But like, how do you reach everyone in like all of like actually they talk about the space station has like the astronauts on the space station have somehow also been consumed by the others. I don't know how that.
Well, yeah, because this is in the second episode, but they do say like, how many people died based off of this, and she explains, like the them pirate space lady
Right, yeah.
explains that they normally don't go this fast, but they had to go faster.
That's right.
They
Yeah,
had to speed up, which
right.
caused a lot of people to pass away
Right.
because they couldn't handle how difficult it was.
Yeah.
But so why is that happening? Why
Right.
do they have to move that fast?
And again, thinking about like is this an alien invasion, or is this a malevolent force? Why like you killed a lot of people. Like a lot of people, millions and millions of people have died over the course of this thing, and that's a terrible thing. But then it turns around and says later that like all life is important and that we can't kill animals even, and
we're having world peace. There are no fights, there are no robberies, there are no.
But a lot of people had to die for that to happen. So I don't know. I guess right now, and we should tell our audience that as we record this, the first 2 episodes have released, and that's why we're kind of referring to episode 2 a little bit too. But we haven't seen episode 3.
No.
Although some critics apparently have, like I guess they've released some episodes to some critics. But I don't like. I'm very curious to know, and who knows if we'll even get to know this in this season, if this is a good entity or an evil entity. But
I think that's like the juxtaposition of the theme of the whole thing.
Right.
Is it's kind of like Thanos too. Like if you eliminate half the population, but all problems are solved for everyone that does make it.
Right.
Would you flip the dice and try to see?
Interesting. Yeah.
It's that morality idea. So it's fascinating. Yeah, and then so the end of the first episode, she goes to her house. She
gets home.
She tells them all to leave her alone. She can't figure out how to get into her house. Her children, neighbors that are now them, tell her that in 6 years ago she locked herself out and put a second key under there. Yeah. How do you know that? The child wouldn't know, but how the one mind they all have, and they have surveillance drones that are 40,000 feet in the air that they're sending information amongst. Right?
Yeah.
So, yeah. And then she goes and it shows you, and I mean, we all have it, that reliability of like news, the television, like she's looking for that. And
she turns on the TV and she says something like, "Fuck yeah, America."
Yes.
Because she thinks, okay, we're back in control here.
Yeah.
That there's some leadership is talking.
America. Yeah. Yeah.
But it turns out, no, this is a broadcast just for her.
Yeah, and it literally says in the text underneath her, like, we know that you're startled and scared. Please give us a call. That was not our intention.
Such a great moment, like because even we don't necessarily know, like, okay, maybe this is just localized to Albuquerque. But in that moment, it's like, no, they have control of the entire country at the very least, if not the planet. So
yeah, and then the gentleman assures, she says, "What's going on? What's happening? Are you an alien race?" And they say no. But we had to come here and we had to do this. And she says, "Are you going to let me live?" And they said, "Well, your life is your own." And then that's kind of the really fat. You're like, okay, maybe they're not so bad.
Right.
And then they're like, essentially saying, but you will be joining us in a few months' time because you will realize how wonderful this is.
Right.
And now we're kind of getting back into like culty, like, you're gonna drink the Kool-Aid though because you're gonna be delivered to heaven, right?
There's no way you could turn this down. It's so
right.
Yeah.
But you will no longer suffer. You will no longer struggle. You won't be miserable anymore, Carol. Like, isn't that wonderful? Isn't that terrifying? So yeah, she ends the episode with her having a bunch of drinks and like screaming and saying no and going to bed, and everyone leaving her alone.
Yeah. I really like this, the kids being able to say, like, remember 3 years ago, or when you locked yourself out, you put a key under the thing. The phone number, I don't know if it's the same phone number, but there was a marketing campaign early on, and this is how I got my ticket to the New York screening. Is I called the number. You could call the number that Carol calls in this moment,
cool,
or maybe it's a different number, but whatever the marketing was saying, I called that number, and it was like, hey, there was a voice that was basically pre-recorded saying, Carol, join us, that sort of thing. Opt in for text messages, and then I would get these random text messages from time to time talking about like, wouldn't a drink be nice right now? And I would reply yes. And it would be like, remember that drink you had in like a zombie something? There's a drink with that name in it.
Okay.
Which is an interesting choice.
Mm-hmm.
Like in 1999, you had at that resort, and I was like, what is happening here? But now, of course, it's like, oh, we know everything about you, at least from the perspective of Helen.
Is that real? Did you have that drink?
Yeah, exactly.
That's terrifying.
Yeah, for sure. It was great. It was super, super clever marketing, and it's still happening. So I'll have to read it. Maybe next episode we'll read what they said.
Well, I mean, that's kind of the thing, is it's operating in the background, and like the Big Brother idea has been happening forever, right? You and I might be talking about getting a burger at Harvey's or something, and the next time I open my phone, I'm gonna have Harvey's coupons.
Oh yeah.
Like it's insane.
It's creepy, but we're already like sort of used to it. It feels like too. It's like, oh yeah, that's why I'm getting that ad, because I had that conversation at that point. So
we're gonna
anything else?
There are others like yourself around the world. We'll figure out what makes you different so that you can join us.
Right, and that appears to be a genuine like, we feel bad for you, and don't worry, we're gonna fix this.
Yeah, we're gonna debug the problem.
Yeah. Whereas Carol's like, please leave me alone. I don't want anything to do with this. So
I mean, it comes back to like, just in general, so many times through history being told in so many circumstances, like, this is for the greater good. This is good for you.
For sure.
Like I imagine going to the insane asylum like in the 50s with getting lobotomies. I don't think that's but it's good for you.
Yeah.
Like that's
it's gonna fix you. We're doing you a favor. Yeah. Well, I don't know. So well, maybe we'll talk about it after the second episode, but like, the thing that makes this different, this concept is not new, right? Like we were talking about Rick and Morty and the Unity episode and Invasion of the Body Snatchers. This isn't like a super new concept, although it hasn't been done a lot. Like there are a lot of other concepts that have been done a whole lot. I think what Vince is doing here, I don't know for sure, but I'm curious to see if he's actually going in this direction of, no, it's a positive entity. It's not here to like you brought up Thanos and that idea of like, when a villain has conviction about what they're choosing to do, it's the best.
Yeah.
Because that's a great villain who truly believes in what they're doing. This villain, the others, I think truly believes that it's a great thing and it's a positive thing, but it just ends up killing millions of people and also stripping individuality away from the human race. So there's lots of bad things about it. But I think that may be where Vince is going, is saying this is actually not like, I'm not going to surprise you with like, oh, it turns out it was evil the whole time.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it is objectively, if you value individuality, but I think the idea is that no, we're like, this entity cares about Carol and cares about every member of it and every animal and every being, and just kind of goes about it in a way that maybe we wouldn't agree with.
Yes. I mean, it's the idea of like Judgment Day or whatever. Like,
sure,
how would we even come to the agreement that this is what we should be doing?
Yeah.
And if it is like, I don't know, it would just be it's a world problem. It would be a world, I don't think that there's a way to get this done peacefully that people would agree with. Like, I think the violence would have to come, and then it's the question of like, everyone else seems to be agreeing to peace now, and Carol's the one that's resorting to violence, and they think that she's crazy, right? And she's causing harm to them, and how could you do that to us? And like, that's just so fascinating too, because it's this idea of, I mean, in general, like, I'm a spiritual person and I like to be grateful and like see the positive side of life and like try to learn the lesson and stuff, but there are people out there in the idea of like toxic positivity. I'm like, well, no, I don't want to ignore the negative feelings that we're having.
Sure. Yeah. There are companies, they're like, especially like tech companies, right? Who go down that road of like, everything's great, everything's fantastic, and then crash and burn, right? And drive over the cliff because they've just blinded themselves with this toxic positivity thing. But I'm a big fan of positivity. I think so. It's a difficult thing. Yeah. So what did you think of this episode as a pilot in general, as the first episode of any show ever? Because there are some people who are like, this is the greatest pilot ever made. What
Mm-hmm.
do you think?
Mm-hmm. I mean, it's definitely up there
Yeah.
for sure.
Yeah.
Cinematic marvel, as you mentioned, absolutely. Like, there's so much going for it between like the story, the complexity. You never know what's happening. You don't understand what's going on. The nuance of the characters are so deep. I think it's fascinatingly done. And I even like down to the color psychology of
Yeah.
things. Like,
Yeah.
I love that. And the suspense and the thrill of having something here that's not so obvious, and like it's not really jump scares, it's not
Oh,
paranormal, it's not
right.
Stranger Things leaving realities and having different universes,
Yeah.
but like I think it's something spun in a way again that we haven't seen before. It's really terrifying.
It is. It's a terrifying idea, but it's also like
But wouldn't you want this reality perhaps?
well, I mean, there are positives about it that
Yeah.
we're living in a world where, like there's a very tenuous peace in Gaza and there's a war in Ukraine and Russia, and there's lots of horrible things happening all over the world. All of that would stop, presumably. And it's an interesting thing to think about of if every Russian and every Ukrainian person was suddenly the same.
Mm-hmm.
They'd be like, well, let's not kill each other anymore because we're the same. And that is true. Whether this is a sci-fi show were to come to pass or not, that's a real thing, right? Like we are all human beings, and
Mm-hmm.
we shouldn't be doing this to each other. And it's an interesting perspective on peace, actually.
And I think it challenges too, even like how you can see like the WHO wants like a one world government.
Mm-hmm.
Like these sorts of things about let's take barriers off, let's take, and there's an argument for and lots of arguments against. So it's just, yeah. And what about you? How do you feel about the pilot?
Yeah.
It's got its like teeth in. I'm in.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, from a storytelling perspective, I think it's so fascinating. And I honestly, I didn't know what to expect, but I definitely did not expect this.
Mhm.
Like I love that Vince is going somewhere with it that is not really been done before. And of course, like I said before, there are definitely some films and some shows that have explored this idea, but not at this scale, not with the Apple budget behind you, and not with this idea of it being a benevolent thing. And so I'm very curious. It feels like too much to say we've never seen anything like this, but I think it's true that we haven't seen anything like this. The idea may not be completely original, but the budget behind it is a unique combination, and I think I'm excited to see what the upcoming episodes hold for us. Having said that, I have a few little nits to pick, and one of them is that, I mean, Vince is not a new director, right? He's not new to directing television. He directed a ton of episodes of Breaking Bad, and I assume many episodes of Better Call Saul. Uh, but there are some things about this, and who am I to say or to critique him? I've never really directed anything substantial that I've written.
Mhm.
I've directed other people's work. But something I notice about people who are writer directors is they fall in love with things that they maybe shouldn't. And I feel like there is a little bit of fat on this episode, just a little bit here and there. And that happens when a director falls in love with a moment or an actor, right? Like it's clear that Vince absolutely loves Ray Seahorn and wants to see every nuance of her performance, and that's great. But it can, I think, go a little bit too far at times. And I wonder, yeah, especially in this day and age when we're TikToking and
Mhm.
like the attention spans are just not there, and so you have to be careful not to, I think, indulge too much. And I don't think he does. It's just there are moments for me that go on a little bit too long here and there, and that's just my perspective and my opinion. But overall, I think it's incredible. I think it's so obviously also the same team behind Breaking Bad. Like if I hadn't seen or listened to the episode, the official podcast episode, and I just watched Breaking Bad by itself, and then this, I would be like, oh, it's the same people. They're in the same location. It's clearly a lot of the same department heads are involved in this, and so the look is very similar. And that also, from an objective perspective, it concerns me a little bit. like, is Albuquerque the right place for this story to take place? Or is it just because they love Albuquerque and they had such a good time shooting Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul there, and their people live there and their crew is there and it's just convenient? I'm sure that is true, but probably just like about 10%. I don't think it's to its detriment. In fact, Albuquerque is a really cool place to see on screen. It has a very specific look to it. And when we saw the promos from like we haven't seen this yet. That a drone drops. Have you seen this promo? Like a drone sort of I think tries to pick up Carol's garbage.
Okay.
And like kind of fails at it and then finally succeeds and flies away with it.
Huh.
I don't know when that's going to happen in the show, or maybe it's just a promo thing. But that shot was like so quintessentially Albuquerque. I was like, oh, okay, so they're shooting in the same place. Although they built that neighborhood. Now we know that neighborhood, Carol's neighborhood, is 100% a fabrication, a creation by the show, which is huge. And like definitely
that is so much.
Yeah, highly recommend everyone listen to the official podcast because they talk about making that and how they had to work with the city and how it had that incredible view and even in that episode Vince talks about it and he doesn't specifically mention it, but like there's a couple who owns the Breaking Bad house, right? The house where Walter White lived.
Yep.
And it's now got a massive fence around it and like security cameras because people go to the house and obviously they want to see it. They want to take pictures. They want to explore it. But they also throw pizzas up on the roof. If you remember, there's an episode where Walter is furious with Skylar for I forget what reason and throws the pizza and it lands on like above the garage. And so it became a thing.
They're trying to do that.
Yeah, it became a thing to buy a pizza, go to the house and throw it on the side. And Vince like sort of chastised the fan base, rightly so, please don't do that. And so I think they were like, let's not have that problem with this show.
Yes.
Let's just create our own. And they say it's like,
let's just make our own neighborhood, our own city.
There are security guards, and Vince was like, the security guards are very nice, but they're not going to let you into the area. And so, yeah. So anyway, this has been really fun. This is a great episode.
Thank you.
Thank you for doing this with me. For those of you tuning in, we're going to do the second episode right away. And I don't know how do we wrap this up?
Thank you for listening. How do we wrap this up?
We've got social media things that haven't been set up yet, but those?
Yeah.
It's going to be Instagram and well, maybe have that ready for the third episode. But you've probably found us already on Apple Podcasts and Spotify and YouTube. So Thank you, Victoria.
Please leave your comments. Thank you. Yeah, let us know about like your thoughts and what you guys are thinking and
great point.
Any Easter eggs that we might be missing because I'm sure there's a lot. I got to rewatch all the Breaking Bad stuff.
Right.
And Better Call Saul. Like there's a lot of great stuff in here, but ultimately, like just thank you and it's been awesome.
Yeah, cool.
It's so cool.
We'll see you next episode.